Welcome to the biggest, baddest, fastest racetrack on the schedule. This is Talladega Superspeedway and the General Tire 200. Well, it's cooling off here in Talladega just in time for things to heat up, if you know what I'm saying. You see it's 67 degrees, overcast, but the weather looks good for the remainder of the afternoon. And we welcome you in on this beautiful Saturday. I'm Jamie Little, Phil Parsons, and happy to have this guy, Trevor Bain, back with us. So the ARCA Menards series, we've been off for a few weeks, so why not just jump back in and take on this incredible super speedway, right, Phil? I expect a little drama, excitement, much like we had 2 races ago at Daytona.
Yeah, a lot of this kind of racing is being in the right place at the right time towards the end of the race. Well, Jake Finch was in the right place at the right time during the race. He had the lead for a one-lap restart. They got together. Jake assumed that his teammate on the inside, Gus Dean, was going to let him. Now, Jake had the lead. Jake is the guy with control. He chose the outside, thinking his teammate, Gus Dean, that white car on the inside of the racetrack, was going to let him in. Well, Gus didn't understand the situation. Jake thought that was going to happen. Gus did not do that. They raced tooth and nail through the corner here. Right now, Jake is assuming that Gus is going to back off. That didn't happen. Gus Dean said, hey, I've been 26 years trying to win here. This is going in turn 3. That's Gus in the lead. That's Jake, unfortunately, into the outside wall. He dominated this race, but he comes away with a destroyed race car, assuming that he was going to be able to have the lead. And Trevor, you know a little bit about what happens when teammates try to work together and it doesn't go exactly right.
Well, I do, and Gus Dean here says, hey, it worked out pretty good for me. I know it wasn't the plan or it didn't get executed fully, but that's kind of how my Daytona 500 went. David Reagan was on the outside, had the lead. I let him in. He crossed over the start-finish line too soon, changed lanes, got black flagged. I got a ring out of the deal. It worked out pretty good, but for him, it was unfortunate. But here at these races, I mean, you think about young drivers, like you said, Gus Dean, 26 years he's thought about winning at Daytona. He had the front row. He's thinking, I'm going to win this thing. There's no way I'm backing off, even though that was the plan. But I talked to Tanner Gray down in the infield earlier today, and he said, hey, I'm starting on the front row. These restarts are everything in these races. We need to get control of the race, take the lead early, and hold them off. So those restarts, Phil, that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, you guys talked about the young drivers. When it comes to the ARCA Menards series, we always talk about how diverse this field always is, more so than any other NASCAR field. I mean, the ages, look here, 18 to 65.
That's like me and you, Phil.
Well, no, you're a lot older than 18. I can't say about the 65, yeah.
My kids are aging me fast.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, look down there, 20 different states represented here, 3 different countries, 2 females in the field.
We always talk about it. This is a race for young drivers to be shown in front of the Cup guys. They can show what they can do on these type of racetracks, but we don't talk a lot about the people like Brad Smith. Over 420 starts in the ARCA series for the love of the game. He just loves being here, and that's why he tows back and forth from Michigan every week.
Well, we've got a Hollywood star and Frankie Muniz, and we even have a pizza delivery guy in the 73. Andy Jankowiak is back. He's our Sioux Chief fast track driver. Look at that. Starts 26 top 5s too. He wants to change that today and make it to victory lane. Something he came so close to doing just a couple of weeks ago at Daytona.
He was a contender. He was in position towards the end of the race, and then we had some nice little audio from him.
Yeah, fully committed here, right?
I don't think I have a great relationship with anyone with 1 lap to go at Daytona, so I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
The guy is great for a soundbite. That sound right there before the end of that race. He didn't come home with the checkered flag, so maybe he saw God, but he is ready to do it again.
At one point, he was thinking he was going to see both, and then he didn't see either.
Well, I can't wait to see what he can do today. 34 drivers ready to go. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Talladega. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Please welcome sales representative for American Tire Distributors, Amy Temple.
Drivers, start your engines! Roll time!
We will drop the green flag on the ARCA Menards series live from Talladega next.
Where credentials was.
My most recent Google search was definitely food.
It's not very fun. It was just the NASCAR truck schedule.
The Weather Channel. Just checking the weather, keeping up to date on it.
I searched meters to feet converter because I wanted to see something on the track. Because I got meters. I know meters. I'm not good at feet.
Probably where the local Mexican restaurant's at. They give me all like the popular food chain type places, but I like the hole in the wall places. I feel like it's always the best. You have the good food and you don't know what you're going to get, but for me, most time it's pretty good.
Krispy Kremes.
Somebody needs to contact Krispy Kreme and tell them I'm dropping all these plugs.
Krispy Kreme. I'm with Christian Rose. I've been Googling the weather. We always do that on race weekend, but good news is the weather looks great here. Now on Friday, the General Tire Pole Award, well, it went by 2023 owner points. So that young man, 18-year-old Jake Finch, captures the General Tire Pole Award. And he thanked Jesse Love afterwards and said because he won the championship last year, it gave them the #1 spot to start this race. I'm sure we'll see Jesse Love down there sitting on the pit box. Tanner Gray starting outside. Front row, there's Jesse Love right there in our General Tire starting grid on the left side pylon there. You see where everybody is starting. How about we talk to our pole sitter, guys? Let's dial up Jake Finch.
Yeah, let's do that. Hey, Jake Finch, it's Phil, Jamie, and Trevor up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear.
Well, you're right where you were most of the race at Daytona. We just saw video a little bit of the end of that race, and I know how close you came and how much you wanted that win. But Shannon built you a brand new car here, and the thing looked fast yesterday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I got a really good race car. Obviously, Shannon knows what he's doing. He's done a great job, and love working with him and Tyler Mott up top. So I think we got a good race car. I think if we just come out here and execute like we know how to, I think it'll be a good day.
You know, speaking of Shannon, he has a little bit of history with your dad. As a matter of fact, he was a crew chief when your dad won here with Brad Keselowski. And I know you remember it well. What were you, 3 years old?
Yeah, I don't remember too much about it, right? But I think that just means Shannon's getting a little old, right? But no, he's a really smart man, does a great job, and he treats me like family, and he takes me in well, and I wouldn't be here without him. So I appreciate him, Billy Benarini, and everybody else who gives me the opportunity to do this. So we'll see what we can do.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it. Have a great run.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Phil, how about the race analysis for today?
Yeah, this race is going to be 76 laps, just a little bit over 200 miles. You see we're going to have a race break for modified live pit stops around lap number 38. But the key is, everyone talking in the garage here, is when can you get in your window to know you have enough fuel to get to the end of the race? And I think right now most of the people are talking about 25, so they'll pit anytime after 25 if the caution comes out.
All right, we have two pit reporters covering all the action today. Heather DeBow, and we say hello to a new face. You know him as the co-host of Kevin Harvick's podcast. We welcome in Mamba Smith.
How's it going? I'm so excited to be here. And who else is excited to be here? Frankie Muniz. He just got back from the jungle shooting a TV show. He said his wife called him on the way back and said, babe, we're going to Talladega and we're going to win. I asked Frankie earlier, where are you going to be after the win? He said the Boulevard, baby. Heather?
Well, for Greg Van Alst's mission today is to come out of Talladega with the points lead. In order to do that, he got some good advice from 1995 ARCA Series champion Andy Hillenberg, who told him when you're in this position, you just have to race ARCA, which means know the guys that are around you. There's not a lot of full-time guys, differing levels of experience, so think long-term goals. So Greg will put that approach to the test to see if he can survive and get a good finish today.
Greg Van Alst on the minds of a lot of drivers in that field. They want to hook up with that guy and get to the front. And we have 4 onboards that will take you throughout the race today, gentlemen.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Ryan Roulette. He is active U.S. Air Force pilot, and he's piloting this car for the first time at Talladega, but he qualified, or is going to start 11th. Good starting position.
How about Amber Balkin starting back in 24th with the Sioux Chief showdown, or not even the showdown, just the Sioux Chief onboard this time around.
Here's our Daytona winner from last year, Greg Van Alst.
And Andy Jankowiak, and we are racing in Talladega. Jake Finch leads him, Tanner Gray on the outside. 32 other drivers ready to go. Andres Perez in the 2. He's one to watch in the second row on the inside.
I talked to Jake this morning. He said he would love to grab this lead and try to control this race from the very start.
The outside lane was really broken up there from the start, Phil. The bottom is the place to be right now. I think it's going to be tough there for the 18 of Tanner Gray to even find a hole.
Yeah, Tony's a little more formed now in that 25 car, Tony Breidinger. See about a car length in between those two cars.
It's a really interesting field because of how the field was set based off points last year. So you've got Greg Van Alst mid-pack, Andy Jankowiak mid-pack, and you got some youngsters, some newbies up front.
A number of the drivers were talking about, they had a very brief practice yesterday. A number of the drivers were talking about their cars wandering around a little bit. They felt maybe the wind had something to do with it. And that was just with 4 or 5 cars at once. Now we have 34 cars in this pack.
Yeah, and keep in mind that a lot of these drivers don't have a lot of experience here. Yesterday for Jake Finch, it was his first laps on this racetrack, so just trying to find his way around. This is a lot wider racetrack. He said it felt like he could get lost out here on it. It's so big.
Look at that, 3 wide. Jason Kitzmiller in the 97 up top. You know, the impression a lot of these drivers you talk to them who've never been here before, they say it's so wide here. But yet if you're young, you want to stay on the bottom, right? But if you're experienced, you kind of work together. You can move yourself up and try to pass cars on the top.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact that the field is kind of jumbled because of the format for starting the for the start finish or the starting grid. So if you're back in 23rd, you're going to have to do something. You can't just stay in line on the bottom of the racetrack. And right now, Kitzmiller in the 97 is doing a good job moving that line forward.
Riding on board with the 55, or looking out the window of the 12 at the 55 at Gus Dean. That's the Daytona winner. How about that car? Looks like he's been slinging some mud in that thing.
He does a lot of mud slinging with his mud bog car.
What is that, 2,500 horsepower?
2,500 in mud.
So he has a good time. So Jake Finch in a comfortable spot here, just like he was. He led 65 of 84 laps at Daytona like a pro. This is exactly what we looked at for most of the race until the end when it went sideways.
And this is exactly what Jake Finch was hoping to be able to do. Just get a single file line on the bottom and let him control the race. And we see, Trevor, we talked about Tanner Gray starting on the outside of the front row. Really didn't get a good push from behind. Now it's falling back outside of this draft.
Yeah, a lot of time when you're that front car, you're in jeopardy of how well that line forms up behind you. How much help do you get? How much of a push? But, you know, watching these ARCA races, it's kind of like when you watch the duel at Daytona when there's fewer cars and the energy takes longer to build. Right here we see some energy going on though as we see Amber Balkin squeeze by on the outside of the 0-1. She's been fast. She's been working that outside lane. A lot of times drivers want to get up to the top because that's how you pass. If everybody's right on the bottom, you got to take these runs.
Look at this run that Amber Balkin has right now, just passing one car at a time, making up some great ground. Amber's so excited every time. I mean, she's racing full-time this year, but you see her in the garage. She's always just smiling ear to ear. This woman loves racing more than anything, and especially when it comes to super speedway. She's like, I love it. I've dreamt about winning, what that moment would be like. She wants it more than anybody.
And remember, she had trouble, was involved in an early accident at Daytona a couple of months ago, but still got a top 10 finish.
That car did not look like a top 10 car, but she said, I can't believe I brought it home in top 10. You can't give up.
Well, and to your point, she's already passed 11 cars up to 13th there, now 14th, with Andy Jankowiak being on their outside. So big mover, 10 spots already.
So this is interesting. We've got that pack up there, single file. Then behind them, there's a little bit of a gap, and now we're too wide.
And if I'm that pack of cars at the very back of that pack is Tanner Gray, I absolutely stay in line there. Let's see if we can put some more gap between these cars racing side by side.
The hardest part of these super speedway races is patience, right? You say stay in line, ride, but as a young driver, you want to pull out of line. You want to lead every lap. But with over 70 laps to go here, you're right, Phil. Just stay in line, keep that lane pushing, and don't let these guys catch you.
This is the line to watch right here, the top side. You see Gus Dean. Now Greg Van Alst getting up to his bumper. He has Sean Core behind him. Those two work so well together. And behind them, Andy Jankowiak. This is the group I'm keeping my eye on.
It looked like Andy is fading to the outside a little bit. I thought, is he going to try to make it 3 wide, which I think would be a big mistake right now.
Working lap 6 here at Talladega Superspeedway. Jake Finch continues to lead. Andres Perez, Chris Wright, and Frankie Muniz. Welcome back to ARCA Menards Series Racing live from Talladega Superspeedway as 18-year-old Jake Finch continues to lead Andres Perez. Well, we mentioned Jason Kitzmiller back in the 97. Seems like he may have an issue. Yep, right there, slowing up. Let's take a look exactly what happened here.
Yeah, initially we thought it might have been a tire rub, but I think that's water coming out. He had a split radiator yesterday, didn't even get to practice because of it. And I'm not sure that's not that radiator didn't split again, and it's pushing all the water out, and that's why he's slowing. And I would think that thing is overheated, and it doesn't take long to do it with no water.
They're like humans; they need water, right?
He makes it to pit road. He's driving for CR7 Racing. That's the same team that Grant Enfinger races for, Cody Robaugh's team over on the truck side. So great operation. They work on the ARCA car, the trucks all together.
And how about his crew chief on this ARCA car, Frank Kimmel, 10-time ARCA champion. 80 wins, and Frank's calling the shots. That's going to really pay dividends for that team, but it's over for him now. That I'm sure that pushed all the water out. The radiator's busted and their day is done.
Really unfortunate for Jason. As we move on, working lap 10 here, Jake Finch doing a great job, masterful job up there as they're all single file. Frankie Muniz, we mentioned him. Mamba Smith talked about the story that he hasn't been in a race car for 6 weeks, but on top of that, he was out in the jungle. No communication at all. Being his Hollywood self, he's known as an actor, Malcolm in the Middle, if you used to watch that show, but a race car driver at heart from day one.
Yeah, now he's communicating with Mark Redd, his crew chief, and really doing a nice job, and obviously listen to his spotter. Stay in line, Frankie, right now. Just stay in line. You're in a good spot.
He goes from no communication to, oh my gosh, you're drinking from a fire hose. The star of the show is back. What a great, I hope we can dial him up at some point today because he gives us such energy. He just loves it so much. You see last year, that top 5 finish he wanted so bad, finally got it done.
And that happened at Michigan, right? Right in Ford's back door, his huge supporters. So, Mama, what do you hear on Frankie down there?
Talking about Frankie Muniz, guys, he lost 15 pounds while he was in the jungle. He said he was eating strawberries, snakes, grubs, whatever he could get to find a little bit of protein. Can you imagine that?
I can't imagine he had 15 pounds to lose, but did you say he's eating grubs and snakes, Mamba?
That's what he said. He said whatever he could find, he was trying to get some protein from.
Mama, your first pit report, and you're going to talk about snakes and slugs and what we're eating in the jungle now, grubs and everything else. But, man, I thought they had movie sets for that. You know, who knew they had to actually go into the jungle and lose 15 pounds and play Survivor?
Where was the catering? Where was the catering tent?
I thought they were, man.
Interesting. Well, he runs 4th right now. We talked about Gus Dean right there in the 55. He's making moves up to the 7th spot behind his teammate Tony Breidinger. They had a little run-in together. Tony was not happy with her teammate after Daytona. Some contact earlier, we're told, from Gus Dean.
Yeah, Gus brought this second pack up. Tanner was with the first pack. He saw Gus coming, moved out in front of him, and then Gus was going to make the way around, and a little bit of a late block by Tanner.
Well, your first instinct is to block. You see somebody pull out a line and you're leading that lane. You want to make that move, but Tanner has enough experience with all of his truck races he's run on super speedways to know, hey, this is way too early for me to risk this. He obviously pulled back down and lost some track position, but he kept that race car in one piece.
Heather.
Well, talking about Gus Dean, he told Jake Finch earlier today actually to not be afraid to race the high line. And we've seen Gus up there trying to make that top line work for quite some time. But I want to go back to the mud truck you guys were talking about. He's actually picking up that brand new truck just after this race on Monday, and you said already that it has 2,500 horsepower, but it also burns 6.5 gallons of alcohol per minute. And Gus said, hey, it's kind of like me. But I told him it actually sounds like the people on Talladega Boulevard.
That's true. It's a big party here. It sounds like the perfect place for Gus Dean. And Gus, of course, the winner at Daytona. Maybe he used some of those winnings to get his old mud truck and pay for that alcohol burning per minute.
And he is not content to ride in line here. Gus wants to be up front, and he wants to control this race.
And look who he has behind him, Greg Van Alst. Greg certainly a standout on these super speedway races. Meanwhile, Jake Finch continues to lead up front. Andres Perez, Chris Wright, Frankie Muniz, and Christian Rose, your top 5. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. Working lap number 17 of 76 here at Talladega Superspeedway. Jake Finch continues to lead Andres Perez, Chris Wright, and you have Frankie Muniz in the 4th spot in the number 30. Now, we've talked a lot about Gus Dean getting that big win at Daytona, but things really happened here for him back in 2016. Got his first career win. Look at how different the race cars look.
Still the same racing, though. They're all grouped up and pushing and spinning out at the end. It comes down to a late race caution and having to make this call for his first win. But, Phil, you talked about him not being content to ride. And I think a lot of that comes from this fist pumping and burning out that we see on the screen right now. When you have a chance to celebrate in victory lane here like Gus Dean, you get fired up and you come here to race and you think, hey, I can do this. But it just empowers you to make some aggressive moves on the racetrack. And we see that on Sunday. We see that Denny Hamlin, Ricky Stenhouse, they've had a lot of success on speedways, but they are the risk takers on the racetrack. Gus Dean has been that today. I've seen him pushing the rear bumper of LeVar Scott. We've seen him drive up on the outside. This is honestly one of the first times I've seen him single file all day long.
Yeah, that was only his second ever ARCA start when he won here at Talladega. Went on to win another race, I believe, at Elko, Minnesota, and then Daytona a couple months ago was his 3rd career win.
So far, so good for the super speedway racer, Gus Dean. Making a move. He's not content to hang back there. How about Amber Balkin, though, in the 22 making moves? She's been hooking up with different drivers, pushing her way, making up some spots, running in the 6th spot. Tony Breidinger in the 25. Her teammate, by the way, just 1 spot back.
All 3 of those cars, Breidinger, Dean, Scott, have worked together to get there. When we were on commercial break, they were actually all connected, and that's really hard to do in these ARCA cars. You have to be intentional, drag the brake to get back to the car behind you. I talked to Tanner Gray yesterday, and he said it's almost impossible to get to the car in front of you unless they drag the brake, which we know makes the whole group faster. So those 3 cars together have done a great job, made up a lot of track position, and yeah, inside the top 10 now.
And right now they're running side by side while the front 5 or 6 cars are in line. They're going to have to get that figured out and get back in line. We're hearing that the 6th, LeVar Scott, had a close call with the 55 of Gus Dean as we ride along with Amber Balkin, the Sioux Chief on board. You see that right in this, that's the silver car. LeVar Scott in the middle going around the lap car. Took a little bit extra room. Gus didn't quite give him quite enough room. LeVar Scott didn't feel like that was a close call, but they're going to be fine.
Little rub in there. For those 3, that was Con Nicolopoulos, easy for me to say, in the 06 that was going a lap down.
And this is the time if you're spotter, if you're in the middle of this pack and you want to try to make something happen, maybe try to learn something. Hey, can we make a move on the outside? Let's get with a couple other spotters and see if we can get more than just 2 cars. It's going to be really hard for 2 cars to make a move, but let's get 3 or 4 cars and see if we can make some sort of advancement on this 20 of Jake Finch.
Well, and I know they're all single file, but 11 cars, that's quite a few more than what we saw at maybe Daytona, where there were 6 or so in line. 11 cars, I think, is enough to pull out a line if you have a couple to go with you.
So as Jake Finch continues to lead, he's in that 20 car. Jesse Love, there he is. He was the champion last year, won half of the races. He sees himself. He sees himself on TV. Starting on the front row later today for the Xfinity Series. But this was a nice honor for Jesse Love. Here at Talladega, you win a race, you get to have your face, your name on the board at the Talladega International Motorsports Hall of Fame. There's Ron Drager. I know it's sad to see these boys move up and leave this series, but it's great to see Jesse come back. He's sitting with Billy Venturini. Those 2 were so close, and of course rooting for Jake Finch.
And that's already his 3rd championship. Remember, 2 ARCA West championships before he came east to run full-time in the ARCA Series.
You can tell just how close these drivers become with their team, especially after the year that they had last year. He still comes back. He wants to hang out. He wants to help. He wants to give feedback to the next guy coming up.
I don't know. He thinks really highly of Bill Venturini, too, because he has, invested so much in him. He said when Jesse got there, he was a wreck, and now he's built him up and helped him come along as a race car driver to win a championship.
Well, he hopes to be standing in victory lane with that young man right there, Jake Finch. He has led them all. Can he hang on? was a very happy crew chief. Shannon Rush got the win with Jesse Love right here last year. What a moment it was. You see a lot of carnage here, but the elation of winning at a place like this means so much. Jake Finch continues to lead. Andres Perez, Chris Wright, Frankie Muniz in the 4th spot, and Christian Rose in the top 5. And Christian Rose had told me he really has been studying Denny Hamlin, what he does, what he sees, and knowing when to back out, knowing when the energy is getting too much and when to back out. He said, I did that in Daytona and it worked. I avoided the big one. And that's just by doing your homework, listening to drivers and seeing what they're seeing.
Yeah, I really like, I think Denny Hamlin is one of the very best that we have at this kind of, certainly good anywhere, but at this kind of racing, he really schools those people around him.
Chris Wright, I keep mentioning his name, nice and steady, been running 3rd since the start of the race, just staying where he needs to, right?
Hey, he's got a great spotter up in the stand, a guy I get to work with every week. Ryan Blanchard's the spotter for John Hunter Nemechek. Said he was going to be fighting hard today. Chris Wright really wants to get that win here in the ARCA Series.
Chris has been announced as a full-time driver here, so he will be a contender for the championship in the very potent Venturini car.
Certainly wants that win, but you got to think big picture too. Like this guy, Christian Rose, he's just 5 points out of the lead right now. And I say it every time we race and we talk about Christian Rose, but the paint scheme on that race car with all the trees from West Virginia, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Well, and he's gaining experience, right? This is he's had 4 starts in the ARCA Series at super speedways, has 1 top 5. So as you build confidence, as we talked about with Gustine, Christian Rose, ran that full-time schedule last year, finished 3rd in the points. He's building that confidence every week as well.
And there's Tony Breidinger. You can't go to a Raising Cane's anywhere in this country without seeing her face. I mean, they have these stand-up cardboard cutouts for her.
That's a great looking race car, by the way.
It's beautiful, and it's easy to see for us, up here in the booth, but she's just been doing a great job, Heather.
Absolutely, and one thing that she was really happy about was to get past lap 3 of this race. She was really nervous about the start, but now what she's going to be focused on is getting a super speedway race fully together in a good finish. Billy Venturini, I talked to him earlier, and he said we really need to see Tony dig herself out of this points hole and just get a good finish. They know she can do it. She's had flashes and moments of greatness, but now she just has to make it all come together.
She finished 9th at Phoenix last race, and of course didn't have the finish she wanted or needed at Daytona. LeVar Scott just behind him. Talked to him this morning and I said, so who do you lean on? Who do you ask for, when you come to a new racetrack like this you've never been to before? And he's like, well, my teammates, Nick Sanchez last year, he's a great one. He's like, yeah, and I just texted Kyle Larson. I was like, wait, you talked to Kyle Larson about here? He's like, oh yeah, I text him. He gives him advice and helps him. What a good guy to have in the back pocket.
Yeah, it's not bad. And he's come a long way in his speedway racing. It's something he's had to work at over time. And so, as he's analyzed it, tried to study it, I'm sure he has a lot to give to LeVar.
Looking right in front of the number, those are the autism puzzle pieces. This is Autism Awareness Month, and Ryan Bell is the car chief for LeVar Scott in the 6 car, and his son Harvey is on the spectrum. I think Harvey's name is on the car, but they're honoring the son, and that's why the puzzle pieces are on that 6 car. They were really proud to be able to do that.
That's great. Hey, Harvey, hope he's watching.
Check out the roof flaps on these cars as we go through the field. Some are up higher than others, and that just means, man, that crew chief got it all, buddy. You want that roof flap up, putting air over that spoiler.
What are they saying with Andy Jankowiak, Heather?
Well, he's another driver that's just looking for a good finish today. They've been teeter-tottering on whether or not they want to run a full season. So if they can put together a top 5, we might see them at more races. But one thing he did tell me that you guys are going to love, he's working on his Ricky Bobby impersonation. So he said if you get a chance to talk to him today, he'll show you what he's got.
I already warned the guys.
Always an entertainer.
He's ready. Well, Tanner Gray in the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing, the only Joe Gibbs Racing entry. Talked to Tanner, and he's excited about these races. He'll do 6 this year, filling in for William Sawalich, who, by the way, is too young to run these big racetracks, but they were the race winners at Phoenix.
Yeah, Tanner did a really nice job at Texas in the truck last week. Remember, we had a 20-minute practice session, lost his primary truck early on, and came back with a top 10 finish with his backup truck.
And Gustine in the 55 will round out our top 10. We'll get deeper in the field. Keep it right here. You're watching ARCA Menards Series. Tomorrow on Fox, the stars of NASCAR right here in Talladega for the biggest thrill ride of the year. The pre-show kicks things off at 2 Eastern, then the green flag waves at 3 Eastern. That's tomorrow on Fox. They had qualifying nice and early this morning. And we keep talking about Daytona and where these drivers finish. There's your top 10 right there. Some new names up there, some young drivers, some veterans. Had a nice mix.
Yeah, 18-year-old Thomas Annunziato. I mean, he's a winner in the Trans Am Series. He won at COTA in the Trans Am Series a couple years ago. Top 10 at points there. But really did a nice job in Jeff McClure's number 44 car.
Not a bad debut, is it, Phil?
Yeah, talk to Thomas Annunziata. He's our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver, and for good reason. You just mentioned it. He runs in that TA2 class. Talk to him, and he's only 18 years old. Didn't start really racing until 11. Didn't take it seriously until 14. So he's really behind the guys he's been competing with. So a quick learner, obviously, but he's doing a handful of races here, and his goal is to get to Sundays in Cup.
Yeah, we're starting to see this more and more where you have this crossover of road racing and Trans Am type cars and oval racing at the same time, just for the pure fact that our Cup schedule now has so many road courses involved, and they know those are opportunity races. So really interesting to see the development of these young drivers and the path they're taking now.
And it's not the road racers coming stock car racing. It's a lot of the stock car racing going the other way too, to get that experience you're talking about, Trevor.
So Thomas Annunziata back in the 15th spot in the 44. He's a 3-time national karting champion, so that's really where his love for it began, and he realized stock cars could be fun. So here he is.
There's Gus Dean leading the second pack. These drivers now are a little bit behind. That's actually lap cars that are running right now with Gus Dean, and we're very close to the break where we'll have modified live pit stops. And what that means is strategy is out the window. We talked about people short pitting maybe once they got in the window around 25 laps, but with no cautions, that didn't give anyone the opportunity to do that. So this race is playing right into the hands of somebody like Jake Finch. He knows he's not going to have the field jumbled up, because when they come down pit road for the modified live pit stops, they will retain their positions, and he knows that he will come out with a lead if he can hold on to it till we get to that break.
Yeah, Jake Finch is saying this is easy right now. What's Talladega? I'll just get up here and lead all the laps. But, you know, Gus Dean and Amber Balkin, they both lost the draft of that lead pack by trying to make some passes. But yeah, Mama Smith, what you got down there on pit road?
Yeah, guys, they are getting ready down here to get down pit road. The 32 car of Christian Rose is running 5th right now. He's 2nd in points. They're really watching how this race unfolds. They don't want to get in trouble. Make sure they have a car to end the race.
We mentioned Ryan Roulette earlier in the 12 car. Well, you talked about it. There's 39 laps to go. This race is flying by. I don't even want to say it, Phil, but
don't jinx it.
Zero cautions.
Come on.
At this
You shouldn't
point.
have said it. What are you doing?
Know, the announcer jinx. It's going to up the intensity, I have a feeling. This racetrack is so interesting where the start-finish line is. It's not where you typically see it, is it?
It's not. And it messes with your timing. When you want to make that final run coming to the checker flag, it's a lot later.
Should be right there.
Make it. That's right. That's where it would be at Daytona, so you need to make your move off of 4.
But wait, there's more.
It just keeps on going.
I don't know how many times that we've had a winner at the start-finish line that would not have been the winner if the start-finish line would have been in the traditional location in the center of the tri-oval.
And it's hard to really grasp that until you're here in person and you walk down, you see how close it is to turn 1. It's just an interesting location for that start-finish line. So Jake Finch is just continues to lead, a lot like Daytona. He's led every lap so far, all 38. You have Andres Perez been following right behind him on his bumper. Haven't had a lot of movement up there in the top 6, 7.
Well, and I can tell you right now, Andres Perez does not want to be in 2nd at the end of this race. He's finished 2nd twice in his career. He still wants that first win. He's driving the 2 car. I don't know what kind of 2 jinx we got going on there, but man, he's come so close. And he was one of those drivers at Daytona running 2nd in that last lap crash.
All right, the caution is out. This is the break. We'll have modified live stops. They can come down, make adjustments, take tires. We'll bring that to you coming up next. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. 36 laps to go here, and the caution is out for the first time. This is our scheduled break. So drivers have a chance to come down pit road. You don't have to pit, but when you come down, you can make adjustments. You could take tires, you can take fuel, but you can take your time. Mamba, they're coming your way.
Yeah, they are. The 30 of Frankie Muniz doing a really good job right now, coming back for his first run in the ARCA Menards series. Running fourth, has had trouble keeping the car on the bottom of the racetrack. A little tight off, but he's feeling really good about the balance. Also, Ryan Roulette in the 12 car. Call sign Gamble has 3 vets from VFW going over the wall from Colbin Scalaner, Wyatt Hunt, and Julia Price. Heather?
And for Jake Finch in the 20, we've seen him lead all the laps so far, 40 total. He's very happy with the car, said balance is good. Shannon told me no changes here, but he did ask his spotter, Tyler Mon, how is my line? And Tyler said, you're doing really great, just work on 3. You're floating up just a little bit too much. But then we'll move down pit road a little further to Andres Perez in that number 2. Again, another happy race car driver, no changes for him. He just told me that coming into these super speedway races, they've always put themselves in the position to win. They just needed to go their way for once. So they're hoping a little luck on their side for the 2, Jamie.
Thank you, Heather. And it was interesting when Mamba was giving the report on Frankie Muniz, you saw an ARCA official waving their arms, and I believe that's because they hadn't said it was okay to go over the wall, Mamba.
Yeah, it looks like they went over the wall early, and then they also had trouble getting the left side up. They're putting adjustments through it now. Sunoco fuel, and they're going to send them back on the way. So we'll see what happens after this.
And that is the difference here. You have to wait for the ARCA officials to give the go. You can work on your car. You have to wait to give the go to go back out to the track. We'll be back. We've also got the Xfinity Series race coming up later. That's on Fox. And we've got the Cup race tomorrow. Well, the Reese's Sweet Move. We've got a nominee, actually one of them. I think we'll call it straight up. How about this? Tanner Gray
Yeah, he's in the blue car, and he's the 55 of Gustine's going to try to pull out, make it 3 wide, which he inevitably did. But Tanner was wanting to block that move, and a little bit of a late block. They made a little contact, but fortunately they were all able to continue.
Yeah. You can visit arcaracing.com on Monday at 3 Eastern to see who is crowned Reese's sweet move of the race, and definitely the front runner so far.
Scott Melton, the 69 car, was able to get the free pass. He was the lead car 1 lap down.
Who likes bananas?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Ty Majeski the other day on the truck broadcast said he liked bananas? I don't know. We were like, what's your pre-race meal? He said, found out I like bananas. So
I like
obviously,
bananas, but they've got to be a little bit underripe. That thing is a little overripe. Look, he sticks it right back in the cup.
He's going to say, he's going to save it for in case there's another caution.
That's right. He is ready for it. She's ready for it. I think she's a Ross Chastain fan. Is he looking for another snack? We'll go back to green shortly. Welcome back to the ARCA Menards series live from Talladega, Alabama. Under caution for the first time today, our first pit stops in the books. And, you know, we were just talking about the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. I think this one is another Reese's Sweet Move. It has nothing to do with competition. He's just battling his banana.
He's going to peel a banana. And then he's going to
with his gloves on.
What Trevor said, he's had bananas before in the car, but he's always had somebody else peel it.
But watch this. How is this going to work?
Well, he had a bit of a challenge getting that first bite in there.
It's a disaster, guy.
That's why he always wears a bandana. It's a catch-all.
It's halfway down his fire suit.
His helmet.
Yeah. I mean,
we stuck with it. We stuck with it. And he eventually got a bite of that banana and then saved the rest of it.
Look, he tucked the banana peel in the door pad. He's going to smell like banana bread up in there. I guess he didn't want to spin anybody out when he got done.
He's a pizza delivery guy, eats bananas, and he's Reese's Sweet Move. Chocolate, peanut butter, they go together, Heather. Heather, what's happening with the 6?
Well, as you can see here, the tow truck giving him a push. The car just shut off on him. They told him to try to recycle the engine and get it started, but it will not fire. So a tough break here for LeVar Scott.
Really tough break. Been running top 10 all race long, and then something random after your first pit stop.
Yeah, all these engines are Ilmor engines, ARCA 396 engines, and they're fuel injected, and they're their alternators are a bit suspect at times. There's so many things that they try to fans and stuff they run. Seeing take a look at Danny Johnson as crew chief right now, but I would say it's more than likely electrical.
So we'll stay under caution while they get LeVar Scott pushed back to pit road, but this will be the restart right there. Andres Perez, Jake Finch. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. All right, 30 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Jake Finch has led all 46 laps so far. Andres Perez has remained in that second spot. Chris Wright, Frankie Muniz. All right, Trevor, you talked about the importance of restarts at the top of this show. This is the first time we're going to see it.
It is, and thankfully for Jake Finch, he's got a teammate in his mirror. He's hoping he gets a great restart. This is one of those situations where you might see his hand out the window. He might give a little motion when he's going to go to the gas to let his teammate know. But for Andres Perez, this is his opportunity.
Yeah, so critical for Jake Finch. As at the initial start of the race, we talked about the same thing with the 18 of Tanner Gray and Jake Finch. He's got a good teammate behind him in Chris Wright, who has a lot of experience. Andres has Frankie Muniz right behind him. But look at the third and fourth in line. Those are Venturini cars. Well, they maybe try to take the advantage of this restart and jump to the outside and make them three wide early on?
They might do. There's actually 3 Venturini cars in a row there on that outside lane. And Gus Dean, we know that he's been aggressive. He might try to go top of 3 if anything else.
You see LeVar Scott on pit road. That is the teammate to the man in second, Andres Perez. So he has lost his dancing partner for now as they get lined up and wait for the green flag. First restart today. Let's see if he gets a signal to his teammate. Green flag once again. Jake Finch leads him.
Chris Wright is right there, his teammate.
Both lanes got a pretty good start there with Frankie Muniz being on the bumper of Andres Perez, pushing pretty hard.
Yeah, Frankie did a nice job there.
Christian Rose in the 32 laid back a little bit, made up that ground just now, got to the bumper where he needs to go. There's some shuffling going on. Looks like Gus Dean maybe moving in.
Dropped to the bottom there, left his teammate Tony Breidinger up on the top by herself. following behind Frankie Muniz. Bottom definitely has the strength on these restarts.
Bottom really organized right now. See a little bit of a gap behind Frankie. Frankie's the second car in line on the outside before Tony Breidinger. Tony now is going to jump to the inside. Andres Perez is the one that's really going to pay the price on this restart.
See 3 Venturini Motorsports teammates in a row. We talk about it. No, they're not in the entire field. There's 5 cars, but they all happen to be at the front always. They know how to get the job done on these super speedway races.
Good shot of the 93 there for a moment. Caleb Costner doing a real nice job. Stayed on the lead lap, right now running in the 10th spot.
5 Venturini cars in the top 8 right now.
He likes his odds.
I think I would like my odds too. Well, 28 laps to go here at Talladega. Let's look at our Richmond mid-race report. I can't believe we're already there already.
Yeah, past midway.
Jake Finch has led them all.
15 cars remain on the lead lap. We've only had the 1 caution. That was for the mid-race modified live pit stops.
I think that's the biggest surprise. Not that Jake has led all the laps, but that we've only had 1 caution, and that one was scheduled.
Well, to me, watching this line form up and drive around, this is when you have the most energy in that pack, and this is the time to make your move, to me, Phil. You're never going to have this much help again in the race unless there's a late race restart, but you can't count on that. This thing could go green to the end, so if I'm 3rd, 4th, 5th, maybe Tanner Gray on back, I'm looking to pull out a line here and maybe make that move. I know it's early, but your opportunities may go away as this singles out more and more.
Yeah, I don't think you want to wait till the very end of the race, even though there's less to lose, because if it doesn't work, then you have time. You catch another caution down the road, maybe to get back. But I think we need to see if they're going to be able to do something. How many cars is it going to take to make a move?
It will take a lot of organization. I can tell you that much.
We're already having a little bit of a separation now. Looks like Frankie Muniz now has lost 3 or 4 car lengths to Tony Breidinger.
We saw Amber Balkan get a little loose off of turn 4 there and go down below the double yellow line.
Really critical to stay next to that double yellow line. If you move up a half a car width, someone's going to try to fill that hole. Can't advance your position by going below that double yellow line.
We talked about Greg Van Alst and having that damage, came down pit road for a 2nd time. He's back there in the 14th spot. And what I love about this style of racing, you can't count him out. He's got to be back there working. You know, everybody that's with him wants to be around and work together to get that energy to go forward, right, Heather?
Absolutely, and Jamie, he had to come back down pit road because they had damage to that front valence, so they got some more material to put on the front. They also had to tape it down, and they told him, you're going to feel it flapping, but don't worry about that. But one thing he has on his side as he's trying to make his way back through the field is Brandon Lyons is his spotter who spots for William Byron in the Cup Series. So he has a good person up on top of that spotter stand helping him out to find those runs.
You know, and Heather, the last time we were here with the Truck Series in the fall, Greg Van Alst was behind the wheel of a truck, had a huge wreck. Let's take a look back at what happened. Truck spin around, you see him highlighted right there, hard into that outside wall. Right there.
Actually broke his back, and he said it was about a 12-week recovery. He said the doctors were spot on, told him it was going to be about 12 weeks, and that's what it took.
I have a weak stomach when it comes to stuff, but he did send me his x-ray. His tailbone was completely bent in half. So he waited, like you said, 12 weeks to get back in.
You don't want to sit in a race seat with that, I'll tell you that.
No, you race car drivers are nuts. You just jump back in like it's nothing.
I bruised my tailbone one time playing hockey, and I'm telling you, it was painful, just a bruise.
So 24 laps to go here. Jake Finch continues to lead. Andy J has made some moves. He's up to the 4th spot. It was that banana power, I tell you.
That's what it took.
Tanner Gray holding steady, the lone Joe Gibbs Racing machine. And I love the rivalry that we see between Joe Gibbs Racing and then Venturini. But Venturini, when you have 5 versus 1.
The odds are a little stacked against him here. But how about Andres Perez was running 2nd that whole time, the first half of this race. And then on that restart, we saw him get shuffled out. Now he's lost that lead pack. So that just shows you, no matter how good your car is, you got to get organized early.
Trying to work together. You see Sean Core, that 8 car. Sean's a good racer here on these type of racetracks. Had a 5th place finish here last year. He's leading Greg Van Alst on the outside.
Greg Van Alst trying to form him up to reach that front pack here at Talladega. It doesn't get much better than the infield at Talladega Superspeedway. So much going on. I mean, look at this. It is just its own town that is created all week long. These people come out year after year. Talladega Boulevard.
They name a boulevard after him.
You know, I don't need to go because we have Clint Boyer. He just goes, he reports back the next day.
He's our representative. He's our representative.
That's who you want to send as your representative, Bill?
Yes.
He's a representative of all of us. We are fun. Just kidding. I was in bed at 9 o'clock. Boyer and his buddies were out there. Oh, look at this. The Ritz.
It's an expensive ticket for the Ritz there.
High class.
You see it all in the infield. I mean, the setups that they come up with. And the neighbors, you know, you get to know your neighbors, so then you come back with your families, not kids too young.
Notice
but
how
what a great place to get.
Notice how quick that these drivers in the lead lap will move down behind the lap cars to try to get that extra pull. And watch how quickly they move back to the inside. There's Gus Dean, Amber Balkin, Tony Branger, how quickly they get back in line.
Been talking about Christian Rose in the 32, Mamba. What are you hearing?
Yeah, guys, it might be hard to tell, but Christian Rose has just been riding, doing a great job running this 32 AM team into the top 5 all day long. His crew chief, Ryan London, or Pickle as they call him in the garage, told him, hey, bud, it's about 20 to go. It's time to go get him. Watch this 32 move to the front.
Such a nice man. We talk about he was a D1 baseball player, but he always wanted to go racing. And next week, his worlds collide. We're going to Dover. That's the next race. He said that is about as close as you can get to a home race. He used to play baseball across the street, take off his jersey, come back over to the racetrack, and just watch the Cup cars.
Oh, wow. He really did a nice job. He was 5th at our break, and he parlayed that inside line restart position to move up a couple spots into 3rd when Andres Perez and Frankie Muniz started on the outside and lost ground.
Yeah, they built a nice team over there around him. AM Racing, he told me he gets to go to the simulator, but in this series you don't get to get in it. So he goes with Haley Deegan. She does the sim. He listens to her feedback. She's been great just helping him what to expect when you come to these places. He said it's been a good team.
That's commitment right there, Jamie. It's hard enough to get a driver to go to sim, just to drive. So to go to watch and take notes, that says a lot about how bad he wants to do this.
Doing whatever it takes. Ryan Roulette currently running 20th. He's kind of been up and down, shuffled around a little bit today. 18 laps to go. They're just ticking away. Don't blink. These races go by fast. Jake Finch right there. Perfect job today. Has done everything right. Has not given up the lead one time. Chris Wright, his teammates, been right there. Christian Rose, Andy Jankowiak, Tanner Gray. Gus Dean back there in the 6th spot, the winner from Daytona. Tony Breidinger, Amber Balkin right there, been running top 10 all day.
That line of 7 cars or whatever it is not going to look like the rest of this race. Somebody is going to make a move. They're going to get together and try to gang up on those cars up front.
Well, and we see that happen time and time again where they try to make that move and they pull out a line and nobody goes with them, and that's so frustrating. So I'm hopeful there's some grandstand politics going on up there for the spotters where they're saying, hey, I'll buy you a Reese's cup here later if you go with us.
It might not work, but somebody's going to try it.
So this is the second group we were talking about. We just jumped off of it, but Greg Van Alst is in that second group. They start back there with Sean Corr in the 8th and 10th, and they've got about a 6-car pack right now, building that momentum.
They're going to gain Frankie Muniz too, because Frankie lost that draft. He was on the tail end. He hung in there for a while, but once you really lose that draft, then you lose seconds a lap. He now finds himself over 7 seconds behind where he was right with them about 3 or 4 laps ago.
Yeah, in 2 or 3 laps. That much time, Phil. It's so much.
Okay, so how does he handle this? Obviously, he's falling back, doesn't have any help, but they're coming with a full head of steam.
Well, right here, you're going to try to block that run as much as you can or try to break it up and get in line to save your own track position at this point. But, that's going to be really tough for him to do. You're probably going to be on the outside and then give them the bottom and pull down behind them, honestly, is the best way to keep momentum.
Because he's going to have so much less momentum than they will. It's going to be almost impossible to block that. They'll have to slam on the brakes to keep from passing him if he blocks them.
Riding on board with Amber Balkin, Tony Breidinger right behind her. Teammates both running full-time this year. So much fun watching these women and how much they have been improving year after year. 15 laps to go. Jake Finch wants to win for the first time. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. 12 laps to go here in race number 3 for the ARCA Menards series. Jamie Little, Phil Parsons, Trevor Bain with you, Heather DeBow, and Mamba Smith on pit road. This race is flying by. This guy just says, I want this race to be over now because Jake Finch has been perfect.
Well, the laps are whittling down, but so is this lead pack, Jamie. It's down to 6 cars now, with Gustine being the final car in that group. As the leaders catch lap traffic, the timing of that is making it really tough for the rear car to hang on. And now we see the back two wide here with Tanner Gray and Gustine. They're probably going to lose the draft if they keep racing side by side.
Well, Mamba, what are you hearing about strategy?
There's some nervous energy going on in this 32 pit crew, guy. They are all on their hands and feet, just waiting to see what's going to happen. I heard that the 32 and the 73 of Andy Joe Koriak, they're going to work together to try and take down the mega team of Venturini. Christian Rose told his team, let Andy know we're getting a heck of a run off turn 2, so when I go, it's going to be right there.
Right now, that 6-car draft turned into 4.
We talked about that at the restart, right? Make your move when you have the most momentum, most cars to work with. With 4 cars, it gets really difficult to do anything.
It's really interesting how they keep dropping off one at a time. This front pack, just 4. I like that mentality, though. The little team's trying to take down the mega team. You have Andy J back there in the 73. He has K-Loss Motorsports, basically his team. He's had investors come in and guys that are part of this team helping him grow, helping him run full time. And then you have AM Racing with the 32 for Christian Rose.
Yeah, new sponsor this race for Andy Jankoriak. It's Acacia Energy. They sell energy, package energy. I think the company's from Texas, and they're going to be on the car a bunch this year. Andy Seiss, one of the co-owners, was telling me.
All hope isn't lost yet for that 18 of Tanner Gray. I was watching before we went to this in-car here, and he was actually making some ground back up. They did catch some traffic.
There we go.
They're
there
back
we go.
to the group. So they're in this now.
Yeah, Gustine can thank him for bringing him back to this group.
Nice push into the group. So 6 cars there. And they're forming up in that second group with Greg Van Alst and Sean Core, Tony Breidinger.
Seeing that they didn't lose the draft there, Phil, it encourages me to make those, try that. Heather, what are they saying in the 18? Are they ready to make a move down there?
Well, they're trying to. The name of the game for them today was for them to try to make friends, because they really don't have any, especially when they're up against that 5-car team of Venturini Motorsports. But believe it or not, the 18 car has never had a super speedway win. The closest they've come was with Riley Herbst right here at Talladega when he finished 2nd, and last year with Connor Mosak in 2023 at Daytona. So they're looking for a real good run here. Also, Tanner Gray, he's wanting to be the guy to get it done, is what he told me today earlier.
Yeah, that's surprising to think that Gibbs hasn't won, but Venturini has 3 wins here. They won in 2021, 23, and today have just dominated.
I think the closest team that they have to be a teammate for the 18 of Tanner Gray is Andy Jankoriak, who was right in front of him. I know I was talking to Matt Ross, the crew chief for Tanner Gray, and he said, hey, let me get with the 73. We're going to try to go out together and run a little bit together when they had that very limited practice session. So I think he's right where he needs to be. I'm sure they would like to be a little closer to the front, but he's with the guy he wants to be with right now. And it may come when they go around a lap car, because that's when the field gets jumbled up a little bit.
So here's the first group that we've been talking about, 6 cars. We're going to pull out here. See the second group and how much farther back. You've got
they're out of it.
Amber Balkin, Tony Breidinger.
Yeah, they're out of it right now unless we get a caution flag. No way for them to catch up.
I mean, they did a nice job organizing, getting as many cars involved as possible.
And that's ideal. That's the job that Jake, whoa, look at that with the movement there, passing a lap car. You see people get jumbled up. But back to my point, Jake Finch has done a great job of just staying on the bottom, keeping them singled out. We see this on Sundays where the leaders just want to ride and get it down to as few people as possible at the end of this race that are going to be trying to come up there and pass them.
But you have to remember, even though Chris Wright is behind him, and watch as they go around this lap car. Look how quickly they try to clear that lap car and get in line.
As a pick as well.
Christian Rose kind of had to move Andy Jankoriak down below the double yellow. Problem maybe. Did they make contact?
Andy J been running top 7, top 8 all day.
Grabbing switches, got a problem with the engine.
Recycling the engine, it seems like.
Still running, but doesn't sound much power.
No power.
See if anything happens here noticeable.
Just see how it slows down right there. He's losing power right there. Really fortunate that Tanner was on the ball there and didn't turn him around.
Heads up driving by Tanner Gray. So Andy J off the pace. Heather, what are they saying?
Well, right now I just heard Andy J come over the radio and say, I've got no power. And then a couple seconds later, he says, I have 0 fuel pressure. So that's the trouble for the 73.
Oh, what a heartbreaker. So close to winning at Daytona. The one that said, I'm going for it. I'm going to see the checkered flag or God. And
I'm not sure he's going to make it back to pit road. He's on the backstretch right now about turn 3, but that's a long ways to make it all the way around 3 and 4 to pit road.
He's limping his way around. 5 laps to go.
Still.
Jake Finch is screaming, look for the fire exit.
Yeah, going in turn 3. Get off the racetrack. Pull in the infield. Go where find Clint in the infield somewhere.
Yeah, he knows where Talladega Boulevard is. Bad ending to his day. Had a great run inside the top 6 most of the day.
Here comes that pack of 5. That lead pack coming out.
More lap cars up in front of them.
Number 4 through the trioval. Andy J made it.
He did. He got off the racetrack.
Hey, he listened to our fire exit.
But what a nice move by him. He could have stayed on the racetrack, brought the caution out, and affected the outcome of this race, and he didn't do that. I appreciate that very much.
Andy J. He'll get out of that race car, and he'll be frustrated, but he'll smile.
He can finish his banana.
That's right. Finish that banana, get some pizza, get some Reese's, whatever he needs, and we'll see him back at Dover. He's running a big modified race, too, right after the ARCA race. Guys racing all over the place. And from upstate New York. So if you're around, go check them out.
5 cars left in this lead draft here. 3 of those cars from Venturini. Ooh, look at these side by side. This is that second pack. Remember, Tony, probably and Amber both moved their way back into this second pack.
Little contact right here.
Frankie just moves up.
Frankie moves up. He has to get around this lap car. Ooh. Greg's going to try to keep him pinned down. Annunziato, the 44 right behind them. That's in that second pack, battling from about 6th back to about 12th.
Yeah, keep in mind, even though they're not battling for the win, there's a lot of track position and points and a top 10 finish at stake there in that group.
Meanwhile,
coming down to it, Jamie.
Unbelievable how fast this race has gone, as Jake Finch has he's led them all. And he's had his friends, his allies. Chris Wright has not left his bumper all race long. Christian Rose worked his way into position to take that 3rd spot.
We saw Daytona teammate thing didn't work out all that great. Now we're not going to hopefully not have a restart, but some more lap cars here. This could jumble them up a little bit. That may be the opportunity for these guys to make the move, Trevor.
Well, and Chris Wright's best finish in this series is 6th 3 times. So either way, he's going to have a shot at his best finish. But right now, he wants to utilize everything he can to pull out a line.
And look how much faster they are than these lapped cars. That's what's fascinating to me. And a lot of times, it's what causes these late race cautions. But so far, they get around them, no problem.
See how quickly they want to get back in line.
Well, the heart rate's going up. I can tell you that. You might not be seeing it on your screen, but the drivers are feeling that anticipation of the final 2 laps. How can I make a move? What can I back up to the guy behind me? Do I just keep it on the floor and hope somebody else pulls out and I block their run and take the momentum? What am I going to do to try to get by this 20 car of Jake Finch that has dominated all day long?
So impressive for Jake Finch. I mean, he's only run a handful of races here in the ARCA Menards series, runs the East races. He ran Daytona. That was his first opportunity, dominated there, and comes out just driving like he's been doing it for years.
Well, if he's able to pull this off, this is the most uneventful race he'll ever have and go to victory lane, Ed.
Final lap. Can Jake Finch hang on for the win for his first ARCA Menards National
Christian Rose
Series
pulls out
win?
a line. Tanner Gray fills the hole. He doesn't go with him here.
Christian Rose, he
patient.
Went for it. He's going for it. Will he have any help right now? No. Chris Wright trying to block there in the 2nd spot. Doesn't work. He slips back. Gives up that 3rd spot.
Yep, Gus Dean stays to the inside, puts Christian Rose back to 5th.
So Christian goes for it, loses 2 spots.
Watch that mirror, Jake. Just watch that mirror. Keep that 15 car behind you.
Oh, the 55 does not go with Tanner Gray.
Meanwhile, Jake Finch, he told us he doesn't use his mirrors a whole lot, listens to that spotter. The move comes. Remember, the start-finish line is deep into the racetrack, not at the normal spot. He gets it done.
Wow.
Jake Finch, a perfect race, leads all 76 laps. Shannon Rush back to victory lane as the crew chief.
If you told me Jake Finch is going to lead every lap from start to finish, no incidents all day, I don't think I would have taken that bet.
Just no incidents all day, I don't think I would have taken that
just
bet.
that
Period.
I don't think, I mean, never. I don't know if that's happened. I think a couple races we've had a couple of cautions, but what a finish. First driver to lead every lap in an ARCA race at Talladega. Venturini Motorsports picks up their 4th win here.
I know there's one proud dad down on pit road too, James Finch.
James Finch. Well, we talked about it earlier in the show and how James Finch, a team owner for 15 years in the Cup Series, gets his one and only win right here with Brad Keselowski, and that young man right there was 3 years old.
And I think probably this one today may mean more than that one, as much as that meant to James.
And nice little factoid, his crew chief, Shannon Rush, was the crew chief for Brad Keselowski. It all comes full circle.
Certainly does.
Jake told us yesterday he went 1 for 1 at Dover and said, I don't really need to go back to Dover. I went there once, and I wonder if he feels that way about Talladega or if he loves it enough to want to come back again and do it.
I mean, what they've done on these super speedway races this year. Daytona, he led 65 of 84 laps. Today, leads every single lap.
What an outstanding job. What a nice young man, too.
All right, let's see how he does on his burnouts here.
Well, I think he stalled it already. That's the first loss of the day right there for you, Jake. Everything else was perfect.
Is he going to go
trying to get it refired? Hey, I've been there, buddy.
Yeah. Jake said, don't cheat me out of this burnout here.
Oh, no.
The car was perfect all day.
Yeah,
the driver was perfect until
there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, he's going to get plenty of practice doing this.
Yeah. There he goes.
The 20th driver to get his first career ARCA win at Talladega. We talk about it being an opportunity.
And 18 different winners in a row at Talladega.
Well, and think about the last 6 or so drivers that have won this race. I mean, Jesse Love last year. We had Nick Sanchez. You can go down the list for the last 6 or 7 years, and they're all in the Trucks, Xfinity, or Cup Series. So that says a lot for this young driver right here.
What a nice young man he is. Smile, beautiful smile. Happy to be here. He talks about his dad all the time, talks about the race shop. What a cool feeling.
He's working at the construction business right now. Phoenix Construction.
Earning his keep, right?
That's right.
That'll make him appreciate these days, right?
Exactly.
Gloves are off, taking the helmet off. Heather, these are the moments you never forget. Interviewing a driver in their first win.
Absolutely, Jamie. And in Venturini's Motorsports shop, they have a quote that says, "Perfection is unattainable, but if we strive for it, we will achieve excellence." And today, they did it. They had a perfect day, as you see his crew chief, Shannon Rush, coming in for the big hug. And we mentioned it already, Shannon was the crew chief when your dad, James Finch, had the win here with Keselowski in 2009. Here you are now, an ARCA Series winner at this track. Walk us through the emotions and everything that's going through your mind.
Yeah, just trying to stay locked in, right? That was a fun race, and I can't thank Shannon and everybody enough. I mean, I was a nervous wreck before this race, and Shannon just told me, hey, if you do what we're supposed to do, we'll kick their butts. So I think that's what we did. Terrible burnout, but I tried. I'm not too experienced yet, so we'll get there. Keep running this 20 with Shannon. I think we'll get a few more.
Did you look in your rearview mirror at all in those closing laps?
A few times. I think like Tyler Mon up there did a spectacular job, and he was, sometimes he didn't talk much, and I was like, man, can you still hear me? He's like, I got you. I was like, all right, cool. And so, no, I didn't look at it too much. I couldn't really believe like we won. So it's super cool. I can't wait to experience this with my friends and family tonight, and such a good day.
Congratulations. Enjoy the celebration.
Standing by with second place finisher, Chris Wright. Chris, what a finish there to the end. No cautions, man. How about that?
Yeah, I was definitely not counting on that for today, but a green race, happy to have that happen. It got a little hairy there in the start with all the cars. I think we were 3 wide for a little bit, but we single fouled out, and I ran third for the first half and second behind Finch second half, and You know, I made a move a little too late, but I saw the guys trying to break off behind me, and the last thing I was going to do is let somebody else win the race other than a Venturini car.
Do you think you had anything else? Do you think there was another move you could have made to make sure you got that 15 in victory lane?
Yeah, I definitely could have made some more aggressive moves, but I wanted to keep that victory in the Venturini camp. You know, I didn't want it to go to the Gibbs guys or the 32 guys. So, you know, trying to be a team player there.
Chris Wright making sure his team brings home the victory. Booth.
And thank you, Mama Chris Wright. Best career finish, brings it home second. And once he got it refired, there's that burnout by Jake Finch. Yes, we'll continue our post-race coverage after this. Oh, the sweetest ride all the way to victory lane. Jake Finch gives Shannon Rush the ride. Look at the flag in the back. What a great day for them and a great day for the teammates. Tony Breidinger brings it home 10th, Amber Balkin 7th. Great day for Venturini Motorsports. They get all 5 cars in the top 10. Well, how about it? Another Reese's sweet move of the race came down to this moment. The final lap. Jake Finch holds off the hard chargers from behind. They're trying to make moves, just cannot do it. He hangs on, brings it home. You can go to arcaracing.com Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern to see who is crowned the Reese's sweet move of the race. How do you not give it to the guy who has a perfect race? Mamba, who do you have?
Tanner Gray brings this Toyota to a 3rd place finish. Tanner, it was really hard out there making any moves. We just talked about it. There was no lead changes. What do you think you had to do to kind of get that Toyota to the front?
Yeah, I needed help. It's tough when you are racing 3 Venturini cars and you're the only one. So, yeah, just probably needed a little bit of help and maybe make a little bit better moves there to start the race. I thought the 55 would go with me early and kind of split me, and I felt like put us both in a bad spot. So, I don't know. It's tough. Like you said, there's no lead changes, and that says a lot about the racing when you're at a super speedway. So, I don't really know what to do different other than start on the pole and lead every lap. But yeah, definitely frustrating when you have a fast car These guys at Joe Gibbs Racing work really hard to bring a fast Toyota Camry, and I felt like we weren't necessarily able to capitalize on the speed that the car had. So glad that we're done with the speedways and excited to get to the mile and a halves and go back to work with these guys.
Tanner Gray comes home third. Jamie?
And that is his best career finish in the ARCA Menards series. So he's had 2 races so far, 2 more still to go. We'll continue our coverage from Talladega after this. The youngest driver in the field today by just 2 days, Jake Finch, finds himself in victory lane for the first time in his career. We've been talking about his dad and what this place means to James Finch. Let's hear from him, Heather.
Absolutely, a very happy papa down here in victory lane, James Finch. You got your first career Cup win here with Keselowski in 2009. Did you dream that your son would then do it again this many years later and get his first career ARCA win?
No, no, not at all. But, after he got old enough, we tried to. But, he's done a good job. He really has. He had a real good chance to win in Daytona, and it didn't work out. So today was a really good deal. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Truly is a family sport. It's great to see James back there. And there's Kurt Busch with the big congratulations and hugs. So exciting. It's been fun, gentlemen. Great day. I mean, one caution flag.
Yeah, what an awesome job by these competitors, though. We saw the carnage from Daytona really throughout the race, and these guys put a clean race in. Only one caution. That was planned. But what a perfect drive by Jake Finch.
It absolutely was. Well, today on Fox, remember, race day coming up at 2:30 Eastern, and at 3 o'clock, remember, on Fox, the Xfinity Series race live from Talladega. We're so happy you joined us. For all of us here at Fox Sports, I'm Jamie Little. Best of Radioactive Talladega is coming up next. Congratulations, Jake Finch.